Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so happy you're here with me today. Before we get started, don't forget to click the like button if you enjoy learning English with me, and subscribe so you won't miss any of my future episodes. Your support really helps this channel grow and lets me keep sharing simple, practical tips with you. Today, we're talking about something that I believe is the real foundation for learning English: listening. I'll share my personal experiences, some mistakes I made, and the methods that finally worked for me. So, let's get started and discover how improving your listening can change your English forever. Chapter 1: Why Listening is My First Step in Learning English. When I first started learning English, I thought the most important thing was speaking. I wanted to talk like a native speaker as soon as possible. I imagined myself having fluent conversations, ordering coffee in English, and making new friends from other countries. So I focused almost all my energy on speaking. I tried to memorize many sentences. I practiced grammar rules. I even tried to think in English. But something was wrong. When I spoke, people often didn't understand me, and when they replied, I couldn't understand them either. Their words sounded so fast. They didn't speak the way my textbook taught me. Sometimes they used words I had never seen before. Other times, I knew the words, but I didn't recognize them because they spoke quickly or with a different accent. I realized that I had a problem, not with speaking, but with listening. This was a big moment for me. I understood that listening is not just an extra skill, it is the foundation for all other English skills. If I cannot understand what other people are saying, how can I respond correctly? If I cannot hear the correct pronunciation of words, how can I say them the right way? So I decided to change my method. I put listening at the center of my learning. I promised myself, first, I will listen, then I will speak. It was not easy at the beginning. I wanted to speak a lot, but I knew I had to build my listening first. Just like a baby learns to listen for a long time before they say their first words, I needed to train my ears before I could train my mouth. How I changed my routine. Before this decision, my English routine was something like this. 1. Read a few pages of a textbook. 2. Memorize some vocabulary. 3. Practice speaking in front of a mirror. 4. Write a short paragraph. Listening was only a small part, maybe 5 or 10 minutes of listening to a slow English recording once a week. That was not enough. After I decided to focus on listening, my routine became very different. 1. Listen to English every day for at least 1 hour. 2. Choose different types of listening: conversations, news, short stories, YouTube videos, podcasts, or even songs. Repeat the same recording several times to catch more details. 4. Use subtitles or transcripts only after trying to understand without them. 5. Speak only after I felt I really understood the main idea and key details. This new routine changed everything. Why listening comes first. I learned that listening has 3 main benefits. 1. It improves pronunciation. When you listen a lot, you start to hear how words connect, how sounds change, and how stress works in sentences. For example, I used to pronounce want to as want to, but after listening to native speakers, I noticed they often say wanna. This helped me sound more natural. 2. It builds vocabulary naturally. Before, I memorized words from a list, but I often forgot them. Now, when I hear words many times in different contexts, they stick in my memory. For example, I heard the word actually many times in different conversations. I didn't need to force myself to memorize it. It became part of my natural vocabulary. 3. It makes speaking easier. Listening gives me the exact patterns of how native speakers talk. Instead of building sentences from grammar rules in my head, I can just copy the patterns I have heard many times. This makes my speaking faster and more confident. My first 30 days of listening practice. The first month was the hardest. At the beginning, I could understand only a few words in each recording. Sometimes I felt frustrated and wanted to quit, but I told myself, Even if I don't understand everything, my brain is getting used to the sounds of English. Here's what I did in those first 30 days. Day 1, 2 to 10. I listened to very simple materials, such as children's stories, beginner podcasts, or short videos with clear pronunciation. I repeated the same recording 3 to 5 times in one day. At first, I just tried to catch the main idea. On the second or third listening, I noticed more words. By the fifth listening, I could catch some details. Day 11 and 20. I started listening to real conversations between native speakers. At first, they were still too fast for me, but I didn't stop. I played them again and again. Sometimes I wrote down the words I could hear. Then I checked the transcript to see what I missed. This step helped me improve my listening accuracy. Day 21 to 30. I mixed easy and difficult materials. For example, I listened to a short news story, difficult, and then a slow English podcast, easy. This balance kept me motivated. If I only listened to hard things, I would feel discouraged. If I only listened to easy things, I would not improve. A silent period. Something interesting happened after 1 month. I spoke less during this time because I was focused on listening. Some people might think this is bad, but I think it's natural. Language experts call this the silent period. Babies also have a silent period when they listen a lot before they start speaking. During my silent period, I noticed my brain started to process English faster. I could understand more without translating into my own language. I started to feel the meaning of sentences instead of thinking about grammar rules. Mistakes I made before looking back. I made several mistakes in my early English learning. 1. Trying to speak before listening enough. This made me copy wrong pronunciation and grammar. 2. Listening only once. I didn't give my brain enough chances to catch the meaning. 3. Choosing materials that were too difficult. I felt lost and unmotivated. 4. Not listening every day. I treated listening as extra, not as the main activity. Now I know better. Listening can feel boring if you always choose the same type of audio. That's why I mix different topics and formats. A podcast about travel, a short video about cooking, a TED Talk with subtitles, a conversation from a movie scene, an English song with lyrics. I also set small goals. For example, today I will understand 3 new words from this video. This week I will watch the same video 5 times until I understand 90%. This month, I will finish 20 podcast episodes. Every time I reach a goal, I feel proud and want to keep going. The biggest change in my English. After a few months of daily listening, my speaking improved naturally, even without heavy speaking practice. I started to use the same expressions and pronunciation I heard many times. I didn't have to think about grammar so much. My sentences became smoother. Most importantly, I felt more confident. When someone spoke English to me, I no longer panicked. I could understand the main idea, and this gave me the courage to answer. Listening had built the foundation I needed. My advice to you. If you are learning English now, here is my advice. Make listening your first priority. Listen every day, even if it's only 15 minutes. Repeat the same recording several times. Use both easy and hard materials. Be patient. Understanding takes time. Remember, speaking is like the fruit of a tree, but listening is like the roots. Without strong roots, the tree cannot grow. Without strong listening skills, your speaking will always be weak. In the next chapter, I will share the exact listening techniques I use to improve faster, including shadowing, slow listening, and focused listening. These methods help me build a strong foundation, and I believe they can help you too. Chapter 2, My Step-by-Step Listening Techniques. After I understood that listening is the most important foundation for my English, I still had one problem. How exactly should I practice listening? I didn't want to just play English audio in the background and hope for improvement. I wanted a clear plan. I wanted to know exactly what to do each day so my listening would improve step by step. Over time, I developed a set of techniques that worked for me. They are simple, but very effective. In this chapter, I will share them with you in detail so you can follow them too. Step 1. Choose the right materials. When I first started, I made the mistake of choosing only difficult materials, like fast news programs or complex interviews. I thought this would make me improve faster, but instead I felt lost and frustrated. I learned that the best approach is to use a mix of easy and slightly difficult materials. Easy materials, children's stories, beginner-level podcasts, or English learning videos with clear pronunciation. Slightly difficult materials, real conversations, TV shows, short documentaries, or YouTube videos made for native speakers. My rule is this: if I can understand at least 60% without subtitles, it's good for practice. If I understand less than that, it's too hard for now. This balance keeps me motivated. The easy materials give me confidence, and the slightly difficult ones push me to improve. Step 2. Listen in 3 stages. I call this my 3-stage listening method. Every time I listen to something new, I follow these steps. 1. First listening. Just relax. I don't try to understand every word. I just focus on the main idea. What is the topic? Who is speaking? Where are they? This helps me enjoy listening without stress. 2. Second listening. Listen for details. Now, I focus more. I try to catch specific words or phrases. I pay attention to how the speakers connect words, how they stress certain parts of a sentence, and how they pause. 3. Third listening. With transcript, only now do I check the transcript or subtitles. I read along while listening to catch the words I missed. This helps me connect the sound with the spelling. If I have time, I sometimes repeat the recording even more, up to 5 times. Each time I hear something new. Step 3. Shadowing. Shadowing is my favorite listening practice. It means listening and speaking at the same time, trying to copy the speaker exactly. Here's how I do it. 1. I choose a short audio or video, about 10 to 20 seconds. 2. I listen to it several times until I understand it well. 3. I play it again and speak along with the audio, trying to match the speed, intonation, and pronunciation. 4. If I can't keep up, I slow it down using a video or audio player with a speed control. Shadowing feels difficult at first, but it's powerful. It trains my ears, my mouth, and my brain at the same time. Step 4. Focused listening. Sometimes I choose one specific skill to focus on during listening. For example, pronunciation focus. I listen carefully to how the speaker says certain sounds, like tit in think or the. Vocabulary focus. I try to catch new words and guess their meaning from context before checking the dictionary. Intonation focus. I pay attention to how the speaker's voice goes up or down, especially in questions or emotions. This focused practice helps me notice things I didn't hear before. Step 5. Background listening. Not all listening practice needs full attention. Sometimes I play English in the background while cooking, cleaning, or exercising. This is not my main practice, but it helps my brain get used to the rhythm and sounds of English. It's like keeping my ears swimming in English. Step 6. Daily listening journal. To stay motivated, I keep a small listening journal. Each day, I write the date, the title of what I listened to, how long I listened, new words I learned, one thing I noticed about pronunciation or intonation. This helps me see my progress over time. When I look back after a month, I can see that I have listened for many hours and learned many new words. My first week using these techniques. When I started using these techniques together, I noticed changes quickly. Day 1, I listened to a short story from a children's podcast. At first, it felt too easy, but I noticed the way the narrator connected words like going to, gonna. Day 3, I shadowed a short clip from a TV series. It was only 12 seconds long, but it took me almost 20 minutes to match the speed. My tongue felt tired, but I also felt proud. Day 5, I practiced focused listening for vocabulary. I learned the phrase, "I'm on my way" from a movie scene and started using it in my own speech. Day 7, I listened to a 5-minute news story 3 times, and by the third time, I understood about 85% without subtitles. This was a big improvement for me. How I avoid frustration. Even with good techniques, listening can sometimes feel hard. Here's how I keep myself from giving up. 1. I accept that I will not understand everything. Even advanced learners don't understand every single word. 2. I celebrate small wins. If I catch one new phrase or understand the main idea faster than before, I see it as success. 3. I change materials when I feel stuck. If something is too difficult, I switch to something easier to keep my motivation high. My listening time goals. At first, I set a goal of 30 minutes of active listening per day. After 1 month, I increased it to 1 hour. Sometimes I do more, but I never do less than 30 minutes. I divide my listening time like this: 20 minutes for easy materials, confidence building; 20 minutes for difficult materials, challenge; 20 minutes for shadowing or focused listening, skill improvement. The secret: consistency over time. The most important thing I learned is that listening improvement is slow but powerful. You might not notice big changes in a week, but after 3 months, you will suddenly realize you understand much more than before. It's like going to the gym. You don't get muscles in one day, but if you train regularly, the results will come. What I can do now that I couldn't before. After using these listening techniques for a few months, here are some things I can do that I couldn't do before. Understand most YouTube videos without subtitles. Follow conversations between native speakers, even if they speak fast. Recognize words I learned before but couldn't hear in real speech. Copy the natural rhythm and stress of English when I speak. These results make me excited to keep going. My advice to you: if you want to make listening your strongest skill, here's my simple plan for you. 1. Choose materials that are both easy and slightly difficult. 2. Listen in 3 stages: main idea, details, then transcript. 3. Do shadowing at least 10 minutes a day. 4. Practice focused listening for pronunciation, vocabulary, or intonation. 5. Play English in the background when you can. 6. Keep a daily listening journal. 7. Be patient and stay consistent. Remember, listening is not just about the ears. It's about training your brain to process English quickly and naturally. In the next chapter, I will talk about how listening improves other skills, such as speaking, reading, and writing. You will see how everything in English learning is connected and why listening is truly the foundation. Chapter 3: How listening improves all my other skills. When I first started focusing on listening, I thought it was just one skill, separate from speaking, reading, and writing. I believed I had to study each skill separately. But as I practiced more, I discovered something surprising. Improving my listening made all my other English skills improve too. It's like watering the roots of a tree. When the roots get stronger, the branches and leaves also grow better. Listening is the root skill for English. Once I trained it, I could speak better, read faster, and even write more naturally. In this chapter, I will explain how this happened for me, step by step. Number 1. Listening helped me speak more naturally. Before I focused on listening, my speaking was slow and unnatural. I could make sentences, but I sounded like I was reading from a grammar book. I didn't know how native speakers really used words in everyday life. When I started listening every day, I noticed several changes. I learned real expressions. I heard phrases like, "I'm starving," meaning I'm very hungry, and "it's up to you," meaning you decide. I started using these in my own speech. I improved my pronunciation. By copying the way speakers connected words, like want to becoming wanna, I sounded more fluent. I realized pronunciation is not just about saying each word correctly, but about matching the rhythm and melody of the language. I could answer faster. Because I heard common sentence patterns so often, my brain began to produce them automatically. For example, if someone asked, "How's it going?" my reply, "Not bad, thanks." "How about you?" came out without thinking. It's like hearing a song many times. You can sing along without looking at the lyrics. 2. Listening improved my vocabulary. I used to study vocabulary from lists. I would write down new words and memorize them. But when I tried to use them, I often forgot or used them incorrectly. Listening changed this. Here's why. I learned words in context. When I heard a new word in a real conversation or story, I understood how it was used naturally. For example, I didn't just learn the word challenge. I heard people say, "It was a big challenge for me," or "I love a good challenge." I remembered words longer. Hearing the same word many times in different situations made it stick in my memory. Even without trying, I started to remember and use them. I understood different meanings. Some words have more than one meaning. Listening helped me understand these extra meanings. For example, light can mean not heavy or brightness. In listening, I could tell which meaning fit the situation. 3. Listening made reading faster and easier. At first, I didn't think listening would affect my reading, but it did. When I listened a lot, my reading speed improved because I recognized words faster. My brain didn't need to sound out each word slowly because I already knew how it sounded and what it meant. I understood grammar more naturally. I didn't have to think about the rules all the time. I just felt what sounded right because I had heard it so often. I could read with the right rhythm. My reading became smoother because I knew the natural pauses and stress patterns from listening. Now, when I read a sentence like, "She's been working here for 3 years," I don't break it into pieces. I read it smoothly, like hearing it in my head. 4. Listening even improved my writing. This surprised me the most. How could listening help writing? But here's what I found. I started using natural sentence patterns. Because I heard so many examples, I could write sentences that sounded real, not like a textbook. Instead of writing, "I very like this movie," I automatically wrote, "I really like this movie." I used better vocabulary. Listening gave me the exact phrases native speakers use, so my writing became more expressive. For example, instead of writing, "The food is good," I could write, "The food is delicious," or "The food is to die for." I made fewer grammar mistakes. Many grammar rules became automatic in my writing because I had heard them correctly so many times. I didn't need to think, "Is it in or on?" I just remembered the way I had heard it. 5. Listening gave me confidence. The biggest change was inside me. Before, I was afraid to join English conversations. I worried I wouldn't understand or would reply too slowly. After months of listening practice, I understood more of what people said. I could reply faster and more naturally. I wasn't afraid of different accents or fast speech anymore. This confidence also helped my speaking, reading, and writing. When you feel confident, you take more risks, and that's how you grow faster. My real-life examples. Example 1. Ordering food in English before, I would say, "I want a coffee." Now, after hearing native speakers, I say, "Could I get a coffee, please?" Or, "I'll have a coffee, thanks." It sounds more polite and natural. Example 2. Talking about plans. Before, I said, "Tomorrow I will go to the park." Now, I often say, "I'm heading to the park tomorrow," or "I'm planning to go to the park tomorrow," because I've heard these forms so often. Example 3. Writing messages. Before, my texts were short and simple, like, "I can't come today." Now, I write, "Sorry, I won't be able to make it today. Can we reschedule?" Because that's the kind of message I've heard in real life. Why listening works like this? I believe listening works for all skills because of something called input. When your brain gets a lot of good quality English input, it starts to notice patterns automatically. These patterns then come out naturally when you speak or write. It's the same way children learn their first language. They listen for years before they start speaking. And when they do speak, they already sound natural because their brain has stored thousands of examples. My listening first study plan. Here's how I now study English to make listening help all skills. 1. Start with listening. Before reading or writing, I listen to something related to the topic. 2. Repeat listening with speaking. I do shadowing or repeat sentences aloud to train my speaking. 3. Read the transcript. I check any new words or phrases and see how they are written. 4. Write something small. I write a short summary or message using the new vocabulary I heard. This way, one listening practice session also becomes speaking, reading, and writing practice without feeling too hard. The change after 6 months. After 6 months of this listening first method, my speaking speed increased. I used more natural expressions. I could read articles without stopping every few sentences. My writing sounded more like real English. And most importantly, I enjoyed learning more. I didn't feel like I was studying in a boring way. I was just watching videos, listening to podcasts, and talking about them. My advice to you: if you want to improve all your English skills, don't try to study them separately at first. Make listening your main focus. The other skills will grow naturally because they are all connected. Think of it like building a house. Listening is the foundation. Speaking, reading, and writing are the walls, windows, and doors. Without a strong foundation, the whole house is weak. So listen every day. Listen to many voices, many accents, many topics, and watch how your whole English ability starts to grow. In the next chapter, I'll share how I built my daily listening habit, the routines, tricks, and little secrets that helped me keep going even when I was busy or tired. Chapter 4. How I trained my ears to understand fast English. When I first started learning English, I thought the biggest problem was grammar. I believed that if I could understand all the grammar rules, I would understand everything people said. But when I listened to native speakers talking to each other, I was shocked. I could not catch the words. It was like they were speaking a different language, fast, connected, and full of sounds that didn't match what I saw in my textbook. I felt frustrated. I had studied English for months, but in real conversations, I understood almost nothing. One day, I decided I needed a new approach. If listening was the foundation for learning English, then I had to train my ears the same way athletes train their muscles. I started to think about listening as exercise. Just like going to the gym, I needed to practice every day, even if it was just a little. Step 1. Short and easy listening. At first, I didn't try to listen to long podcasts or fast movies. I knew I would get lost. Instead, I chose short and simple listening materials. Sometimes it was just a 1-minute audio clip. I repeated it many times until I could hear every word. This made me feel successful because I could finally understand 100% of something. That feeling gave me motivation to keep going. I also used children's shows. They spoke clearly and used common words. In the beginning, I felt a little embarrassed to watch children's programs as an adult, but I quickly saw the benefit. I was training my brain to connect English sounds with meaning without stress. Step 2, slow and clear, then natural speed. I discovered a very useful method. First, listen at slow speed, then at normal speed. For example, I played an English video at 0.75x speed. At that slower pace, I could hear where one word ended and the next began. After listening several times, I switched back to the normal speed. My brain started to recognize the sounds more quickly. Over time, normal speed didn't seem so fast anymore. I also avoided the bad habit of always using subtitles in my language. Subtitles can help, but they can also make your brain lazy. Sometimes I listened without any subtitles, focusing only on the sounds. This helped me build listening strength. Step 3. Listening. Many times. One mistake I used to make was listening only once. I thought, if I don't understand it the first time, maybe it's too hard. But I learned that repetition is my best friend. I listened to the same recording again and again, sometimes 10 times in a row. At first, I understood only a few words. The second time, I heard a few more. By the 5th time, whole sentences became clear. This was proof that my ears could be trained. just like muscles. I also discovered that listening in different situations helped. For example, I listened while sitting at my desk and focusing 100%. Then I listened again while walking outside. Then again while washing dishes. Even if I was not fully concentrating, my brain was still processing the sounds in the background. This passive listening also made a difference. Step 4. Shadowing practice. One of the best exercises I tried was shadowing. This means listening to a short audio clip and speaking at almost the same time as the speaker, trying to copy their pronunciation, speed, and rhythm. At first, this was extremely hard. I spoke too slowly, and I often missed words. But with practice, I got better. My mouth learned how to move faster, and my ears learned to catch words quickly. Shadowing made me feel like I was inside the language, not just outside watching. 5. Learning to love the sounds. In the past, I only listened to understand the meaning. If I didn't understand, I got stressed. But now, I also listen just to enjoy the sounds of English, the melody, the rhythm, the different accents. This made listening more fun. I realized that English is not only about grammar or vocabulary, it's also about music and feeling. Sometimes I listen to English songs, not to understand every word, but to enjoy the sound. Other times, I listen to people with different accents: American, British, Australian. At first, accents were confusing, but soon they became interesting. I understood that if I trained my ears to hear many accents, I would be more prepared for real-life conversations. Step 6. Accepting that I won't understand everything. One important lesson I learned is this: I don't need to understand every single word to understand the meaning. In real conversations, even native speakers miss words sometimes. They use the context to guess. Now, when I listen, I focus on the main idea first. If I hear new words, I don't panic. I either guess the meaning or write them down to check later. This change in attitude removed a lot of pressure. Listening became less stressful and more enjoyable. And because I was more relaxed, I actually understood more. Step 7. Making listening a daily habit. The biggest reason my listening improved was because I made it a daily habit. Even if I had only 5 minutes, I listened to something in English. Sometimes it was a short news story, sometimes a podcast, sometimes just a conversation clip on YouTube. I also reviewed the same materials many times, which helped my brain remember the sounds. I learned that listening is not about big, dramatic progress in one day. It's about small, steady improvement every day. Over months, my ears became more and more comfortable with English. Step 8. Real-life listening practice. Finally, I started practicing listening in real situations. I joined online English conversation groups. At first, I didn't speak much. I just listened. I noticed how people connected words, used idioms, and changed their tone when they were excited or surprised. This real-life listening was harder than listening to prepared recordings, but it was also more useful. I realized that real conversations have interruptions and informal language, things I can't learn from a textbook. My results. After months of training, after months of daily listening practice, I noticed big changes. When I watched movies, I could follow the story without always using subtitles. When I joined conversations, I understood the main points quickly. And when I listened to podcasts, I didn't feel lost after the first few sentences. My confidence grew. Listening no longer felt like an impossible challenge. Instead, it felt like a skill I could control and improve. I understood that listening is not something we are born good at or bad at. It's something we can train. Final thoughts. If you want to build a strong foundation for your English, train your ears every day. Start with short, simple listening. Use slow speed, then natural speed. Listen many times. Try shadowing. Enjoy the sounds. Don't panic about every word. Make listening a daily habit. And most importantly, be patient. Your ears will learn, just like mine did. Listening was once my weakest skill, but now it is one of my strongest. It opened the door to speaking, reading, and even writing better English. The more I listen, the more I understand, and the more I enjoy the journey of learning. Before we finish, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. If you've listened all the way to the end, it means you are serious about improving your English, and that's something to be proud of. Learning a language takes time, patience, and practice, but every step you take brings you closer to your goal. I hope the tips and stories I've shared have inspired you to focus on listening as the foundation for your English learning. Remember, you don't have to understand everything at once. You just need to keep going, little by little, every single day. The more you listen, the more your ears and brain will adjust. One day, you'll realize you're understanding English without even thinking about it. That's the magic of consistent practice. If you found this episode helpful, please click the like button. It lets me know that you enjoyed this content and want to hear more. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future episodes. Your support means so much, and it helps me continue creating helpful lessons for you. Finally, remember this. Mistakes are not failures. They are proof that you are trying. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself. You are capable of more than you think, and with persistence, you will get there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay motivated, stay curious, and keep rising with your English.